390 Wagon Master here. Okay, this is my High Gain 8. This is a 23 channel AM upper lower sideband base station. This is 23 channel crystal controlled. It's full featured radio. Has volume, squelch, RF gain, tone control. Counterclockwise is high tone. Modulation calibrate, SWR calibrate. Here's our function or mode switch here to go from AM upper lower sideband. Fine tune being a clarifier. And then of course we have our transmit and receive light, channel selector, digital 23 channel readout, dual meters because this does have the SWR bridge in it, and of course a digital clock, upward firing speaker, the mic jack, 1/4 inch headphone jack, independent A&L noise blanker, CBPA, modulation cal, SWR cal, and of course the illuminated on-off switch. So yeah, the styling on this is kind of wild. Honestly, this is, it's a 70s thing. I don't believe it was very popular. You just don't really see all that many around. So I know some of you may know about the backstory of this radio, but just real quick, back in the 70s when they were doing the CB radio closeout sales, when they were going from 23 to 40 channels, my uncle and I went to a closeout sale. I was like 13, 14 or so at the time. And we bought a couple of these radios. We bought some high gain mobile radios, a Midland mobile radio, and some high gain ground planes. And we bought a couple CLR ground planes and I believe a golden penetrator or a gold high gain antenna of some kind. I'm not really exactly sure. I ended up with one of the base stations. I ended up with a 13-882B Midland mobile and a high gain 1 mobile 23 channel version, of course. And I no longer have the other radios, but I do still have the antenna that I'm actually using right now. And then of course this. Now I lost this radio a few times over all these years that I've owned it. It was never really a favorite radio of mine. It just seemed to not really be a good performing radio. Also, this was one of the first, real base stations that I ever had, and was sideband. And so I tried to, this is where I cut my teeth in the fine art of golden screwdrivering. All right. So maybe the reason why this thing just never sounded right or ran right is because of me. So I'll take that one. Anyway, I had extra channels in here. It is all 100% stock right now. No unlock clarifier, just 100% straight up stock. I performed the alignment on here as per the high gain service manual. So it is a really good sounding radio now. I'm actually glad I hung on to this, not only for the sentimental value, but just because it actually performs pretty good now. So back when I was a kid, I was obviously pretty rough with stuff, and I broke some switches on this. I broke the A&L, a noise blanker switch, and I broke the SWR switch. So I was talking to Scott about this. Rotors by Scott. Here's his contact info. I want to thank Scott a lot. He's kind of the reason why I got this thing running again. He sent over another board. So this is the old one that originally came out of here. He sent over a replacement board. We got that taken care of. It's kind of a chore in this radio. These cybernets are, they have a lot of wire inside of them, let's say. They're spaghetti inside. It's an art the way they did it. But it's just a ton of wire in here. These things are a mess. And anyway, we got all that done. All back to stock. Sounds really good. I golden screwdrivered this back in the day. I did not break any cores, did any transformers or anything like that, or coils, I should say. And I'm lucky in that respect. So it was pretty easy to get back going. Just time. Anyway, it has a dial-a-watt in here, and I had this thing cranked up to full 10 watts output. I was in high style back in 76, 77. And anyway, even at 10 watts, this thing had a little bit of forward swing RMS, but it's now sitting at exactly dead nuts to 4 watts. with some forward swing and RMS, probably about a watt, almost a watt forward swing, which is pretty good. 100% modulation. On sideband, she'll do 12 watts all day long. You don't even have to get into it. So lower voice peaks about 10, but 10 to 12 watts overall with the stock mic, not a problem. Audio quality, transmit audio quality on this is really good. Now, it wasn't good at first. I had the audio in this thing all jacked up, plus the synthesis was all wrong. Anyway, everything was wrong in here. So we've got it right now. It sounds really good on single sideband, and that's with the stock mic. And for AM, I've been using the high power, high gain mic. It's kind of haggard, but I was actually lucky enough to find this. I think I picked this up for $10. It was pretty shag nasty, but it wasn't spendy. So I figured I'd give it a shot. It works great. Now, it's a great combination here, but this, I believe, is a Uniden mic. And maybe some of you guys out there in the community know more about this particular style of microphone, but I've seen this in obviously the high gain version. I've seen it in the Cobra. I think it's a CA72 or CA73. And then of course we all know by the the Radio Shack version with the square head on it. But two AA batteries in here, and just, a good performing microphone. A great combination for this. However, like I said, I do prefer the stock mic for single sideband. This is pretty rock solid on sideband once you clarify into somebody on this thing. If you even really need to. I mean, I've got it set up properly, but it's rock solid. Rock solid radio, actually. Very rock solid. And I've been getting some really good audio reports. Full range, full body, and dynamic is what they're telling me over the air. So I'm pretty happy with that. All modes and functions work. And this has been a really fun radio to kind of bring back from the dead. Originally, it had incandescent bulbs in there. Back in the early 2000s, I got a wild hair. I was in my blue LED phase. Put some blue LEDs back there. But once I put the radio back together, I soon found out that blue LEDs behind smoke glass makes it almost impossible to read the needles here on the meters. As well as just reading the meters in general. So we went back to a white LED, but however, I think because of the way these black out here in the middle, it's just not right. Even though I adjust this, I think I'm going to go back to incandescent. So I think if anything, that's probably what I'll do. But again, I want to thank Rotors by Scott, and thank you for sending me the replacement board. I really super appreciate it. Without you, buddy, I wouldn't have. There's no way I would have got this thing going again. Not to the way I like it. I would have just, thrown it back in the box and I'll get to it someday. Well, someday was last week. Okay, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please consider doing so. The High Gain 8 is a pretty interesting radio for sure. If you get a hold of one, make sure it's aligned. Or get it aligned, and she'll work out pretty good for you. By the way, there's a 40 channel version of this radio as well, and I also think that I've seen I want to say a Sears version of this as well. It could have been Sears, maybe Craco. I don't really remember, but it's Cybernet chassis, and decent radio. Single conversion, by the way, on this, and it sounds pretty good for a single conversion. AM operation is okay. I mean, it's no Cobra 2000, but I would say it has an AM receiver equal to, say, like a Cobra 25 kind of sound. And I mean, I think that's a pretty good description of it, quite honestly. Sideband is really good though. It has a really good tone to it, both in transmit and receive. She's now a keeper. So we're going to put this back in the box. And I'll put this into my monthly rotation for equipment and start enjoying this puppy a little bit more. Oh, no, I did not recap it. Don't really think I need to, quite honestly. So everything's good. I gave physical visual inspection of everything. I always worry about the little 10-volt caps. No bulging, no nothing in here, and everything seems to be working just great. And it is super rock solid stable on sideband. So I'm just going to enjoy it. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.